Ladies and gentlemen, final act tonight here at the Investorium, the inaugural Investorium, is into what you might call soft metal. Queensland Mining Corporation, ASX QMN, is an emerging explorer and producer in Australia's premier base metal province, the Cloncurry area in northwest Queensland. They're on the hunt and indeed finding copper, gold and cobalt. To sing the success of Queensland mining so far, Howard Renshaw, Managing Director and Deputy Chairman, and I believe Howard has on backup vocals the in-house rockstar Head of Geology, Dr. John Gilligan. Please put your hands together. Howard Renshaw.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the last speaker here tonight, so I hope that you'll bear with me, and I'll try and keep it focused and not too long. In about 5 minutes, I'll introduce Dr. Gilligan, because he's been working our country, and I'll give you a bit of background to his extensive knowledge and CV. The Queensland Mining Corporation, after returning from Canada, and where I was in oil and gas and mining, I wanted to formulate a copper project because I saw the future of copper rising. And strangely enough, that question on moly, in the area I was working was the Guggenheim mines, which were originally in west British Columbia on the fjords, where the Portland Canal joins the United States, and which is Alaska and Canada. And right there also was the famous Kitzel mine, which was a moly mine, pure moly, owned by Phelps Dodge. And because the moly price was so low, they were actually abandoning the township and moving away from it, and they're one of the big moly producers in the United States. So it's ironic now that we hear tonight how the moly market's gone. And of course, in our particular area, our neighbour is Ivanhoe Mines. Between us, we control a lot of the country that you'll see tonight between the north and the south. And they're particularly interested in molyrhenium, even into our country, so that they can have more production to their plant that they're developing for the treatment of that at Osborne. And I think Dr. John Gilligan might make a comment about one of the deposits that he potentially saw on our MDLs. Just moving ahead now, if this button works here. There we are. I've got the disclaimers for you, and these are in. We've had all these deposits re-validated again by Golders, so that's why you're seeing some different people involved here as part of our upgrade of our definitive feasibility study. Queensland Mining Corporation, we do want to move to a mid-tier player. Hopefully we can control it as an Australian company until we get up there a lot further. I believe in wishing that Australians can own a lot of their own assets and be supported by Australians. The feasibility study, we're on our way. If things go well, we'll try and get most of it done by Christmas. However, there will be a lag over that to next year because of the redoing of metallurgical and processing. A lot of it's already been done, but we need to validate that again. We're still independent, and we are building alliances in our area and joint ventures, not only to fast-track the White Range project and the Hamden Copper area, which is in the same area as you'll see in a minute, but also to look at offtake agreements with some of our processors that are in the area to generate cash flow in the short term. Our key commodities are copper, and good cobalt comes with a lot of our deposits, and they come away quite well together as opposed to gold, which is in some of those deposits, which I can't comment on. But the cobalt has been metallurgically tested for acid leaching, and recoveries have been attained up to 80%. This indicates on the eastern Mount Isa inlay who the players are, which are very significant, and the sorts of mines that have been discovered there. A lot of the miners in this area from Ivanhoe and others believe that it's still early days, that there will be more discoveries made. However, there is significant resources now to be brought into production. Lady Annie's just coming back in at about 30,000 tonnes per annum. Min Metals at Dougal River in amongst Altona's Rosebery project wishes to do the same, and as you'll see down further, Altona itself is looking to, which has a bankable feasibility study of looking how they're going to bring their substantial resource in production. Cadeco's made their announcements about going into production, which joins us. Exco have sold out one of their major ones to Ernest Henry Mining, but they're looking to redevelop some more projects there for the future, and they've got certain correspondence with us at the moment because we share a lot of country with them in seeing how we can work together, both in copper and gold. Copper Chem that you see at the bottom of that list has just put over $35 million into establishing a sulphide plant at, which was never there before at Cloncurry, and also upgraded their solvent extraction plant for the production of copper sulphate, which we have also a similar plant at Mount Norma, and they're seeking to get third-party production of or access to ore, of which we're at this stage in negotiations with, and if that all comes to fruition in the next, I don't know, maybe month, that's how far advanced we are, there'll be an announcement, and that will be a substantial net operating cash flow to QMC out of their mines, mainly in the Duck Creek area, and maybe one other mine, which doesn't take away from the integrity of the White Range or the Curadella Hampton copper mines that you'll see in a minute. There's some information of the company, and all I can say to you is the cash and bank and receivables as at the June the 30th will show around the $4 to $5 million in that range mark. We are looking to supplement that in the future by our offtake agreements and by our joint venture arrangements. Our joint venture arrangements have been negotiated over the last 6 months with major international and Australian companies, and we have substantial offers for participation in White Range. However, in the meantime, we're evaluating that particular option, and I mean within the next 3 months. We have strengthened our management and our consultants to assist us in this, from Mr. Anglin has come on courtesy of the introduction of our major shareholder, Tulla Resources, and Mr. Kevin Maloney, as with Dr. Gilligan that you'll hear in a minute. The appointment of mine and operations Richard Swan, who was involved with North Parks developments and Peak Hill, substantial mines for over 8 years at North Parks, great experience. Stephen Matthey, we brought in for commercial legal reasons internally for compliance and helping us with the contracts, been with Hunt and Baldwin in London for great periods of time, and Dr. Gaujonju, who did his doctorate and has been with us for some 5 years in the Eastern Mount Isa inlay. Brian Rear has joined us recently but has been a consultant to the company. The reason is extensive experience in ASX EW type operations and processing. He's a metallurgist from the London School of Mines and has great experience and great contacts to oversee and try and assist the board and management in our processing options and recoveries. The objectives is whether it be standalone copper producer, but certainly to be a copper producer of 25,000 tonnes plus within the next 24 months. 2 studies we've had done outside of the company and including the one that was done under the bankable feasibility study on a base case of 15,000 tonnes per annum. The latest one we did was on 25,000 tonnes per annum over 8 years, showed a net operating cash flow of $500 million, a capex of $120 million, and an NPV of 8%. So that's very encouraging for us based on a $1,000 copper price. It's about 1,400, it was based on $4 copper price, which is about $8,000 a tonne. Getting confused with gold. Strategy. The White Range deposit, we do want to complete, as I said, the definitive feasibility study by upgrading it and project the optimisation, including integration of a deposit that QMC had in its own right, which is the Young Australian. We brought the resource in this year, 20,000 tonnes, and we believe that subject to access through our neighbour and also in our own right we can increase this, but with access to our neighbour that I don't think it's going to be unreasonably withheld, we can increase this deposit quite dramatically. We went through 60 metres of over 1% copper, 40 metres at between 1 and 2% copper, 20 metres at, which was the smallest one, but was between 3 and 5% copper. Our drills are still in ore at vertically at 180 metres. They went to 250, so it's at least 180. I think it's 220 actually. And this could turn out to be quite a significant opportunity for Queensland Mining Corporation. Other copper assets and leverage off third-party spare processing through toll treatment, which they do have at Cloncurry. They don't have many deposits there. They're working on just the one at Cloncurry that been mined previously, and even though they've got a number of years there, they wish to diversify and access. As a matter of fact, they've approached us to get involved in the bigger scene at White Range in the future. So there's two angles to their approach. The gold assets we're still building. We have plants there, and we're looking to our neighbours who have got also, JORC gold assets to combine with us to give a more quantum area, and we're happy to do that. We have the mining leases, they've got to repeg theirs. So that's a developing story in the next few months, and that first neighbour is Exco. The assets which we'll discuss, I won't spend too much time, and this is the first location plant. As you see, we're going to focus on south of Cloncurry, which is White Range, Duck Creek, and you can see that further south you've got the Ivanhoe. They come right up to basically what you're seeing there around us at Curadella. They're bringing a haul road from Osborne right up towards Curadella, and that's why they're very interested in trying to be a good neighbour with us, to share our opportunities with their opportunities, and so that we don't get in each other's roads. So that's all I can say about that at the moment, but hopefully that's going to go forward, and hopefully in the next couple of months that we're going to see some very important announcements in that regard. We will be talking about these other projects, but the top line is what you're looking at, the Greenmont, Young Australian and Hand and Curadella areas. The resource at the moment, at the back of the presentation that's available, we've done two appendixes, one at 0.2 and one at 0.3. The 0.2 cut-off is 170,000 tonnes in measured, indicated and inferred, and because we can recover at least probably about 20,000 tonnes of cobalt, which is recoverable, we're happy to include, but it wouldn't be as high as this figure, 338,000 tonnes, which includes that cobalt and some gold. We've got concerns about how we recover the gold, so I wouldn't like you to think that that's all recoverable. But the copper's the one we're concentrating on, and at a 1% average, we're looking at about 221,000 tonnes in the appendixes just for the copper. Now, this drilling this season, which you'll hear in a minute, we want to take to 300,000 tonnes at 1%. That's our target. We see 400,000 to 500,000 tonnes with continuous drilling, not only on our mining leases, but on the significant identified targets that all the work's been done on. There's about 80 of them, but we're going to prioritise them, and we'll probably focus in on 3 or 4 high-impact IOCG targets. We hit one last year, and we'll talk about that briefly again later. I would like to, while John's coming up, I'd like to introduce John Gilligan to you to discuss, because John's just been up there and he's been with the company for over a month now. And just briefly, John's background is that while he's a principal consultant in the last year, in 2010 June he was Vice President Special Projects BHP Billiton, and 2009, and during that period Project Director on mine autonomy projects for BHP Billiton South Australia, and Deputy Project Director of the Olympic Dam expansion for BHP Billiton from 2005 to 2009. Just before that, he was Mine Manager Operations Escondida, Norte Mine, Chile, and Manager Technical Service in Escondida Mine, Chile. And finally, without going through any more, he was Manager of Geology and Resource Development for Escondida Mine. We're very privileged and lucky to get somebody to help us guide us through this period, and certainly for the next 6 and maybe longer in the next 12 months. And that was introduced, as I said earlier, by Kevin Maloney's Tulla Group, and we appreciate that very much. John.